This week we're going to do entrees. You know, entrees is the hub of the entire meal. Everything stems around what your entree is. It determines the wine you serve, it determines the side dish that you put with it, it determines everything. So this is a very, very important part of your meal. Today I want to share with you, like a lot of people have loaded baked potatoes. Today I want to show you a loaded filet mignon. When I'm doing this recipe, I always ask the butcher to make the fillets 2 inches thick. Now I know that's really, really thick, but I'll show you why in just a moment. When I start my fillets, everybody has their own techniques, I'm sure, but I take a little kosher salt, I take a little black pepper, excuse me, I don't know why I said brown, and I mix these two together. I just kind of saute them together. I take my filet and I just literally sit it down in both sides so that both sides is coated with salt and pepper. Now you're going to also wonder, why are you putting this on a griddle, Helen, instead of putting it on a grill? This is not the purpose of putting it on the griddle, is not to cook it. It is simply to sear it on both sides. So I take both of all of the cuts of meat and I sear them on both sides on the griddle. What I do at this point is I just let the meat rest. It just needs to rest just for a second. You really haven't started the cooking process, but the meat needs to rest where you seared it on both sides. In the meantime, we start the stuffing. What you do is you take 3 to 4 pieces of bacon, you put them in your grease, and you make sure that they are cooked, cooked all the way through, cooked really well. You set them aside and let the bacon begin to crisp. Of course, everybody has a different technique, for getting their garlic minced, but I just like to put kosher salt on the board again, on the clean side of a board. And what I do is I just simply pull it together. I take my spatula, smash it down. I rub it around in the kosher salt. I have just found over the years that just kind of mixes it to the way I want it. It doesn't have to be chopped up finely in this, and so I just take it and use it in my kosher salt. I scoop it up and I put it right into the grease. While the grease is really hot and it's been left over from the bacon, I just want to put my garlic in there and render it just for a few minutes. Then I want to take, I use shiitake mushrooms. You possibly may want to use kamini, whatever's fresh at the time. This is 1.5 cups of shiitake mushrooms. We're going to add those to the bacon grease. Then we're going to add a tablespoon of thyme. We're going to let that cook just for a few minutes. You don't want this on a really high heat. You want it kind of just on a medium or medium to low heat. And you're just going to render down the mushrooms and the garlic. When that begins to cook, and you can kind of tell with the texture of the mushrooms begin to change, we're going to add 6 whole cups of spinach. I know you thought that I had lost my mind when I put 6 cups in such a small skillet, but if you'll notice, it really does wilt very quickly and it begins to reduce down really, really nicely. Once the spinach has reduced down, we're going to add 1/4 cup of dry sherry. This gives it an incredible flavor. And what you're going to do is you're just going to let that sherry just simmer in there, and then this is just going to reduce for just a few more minutes, okay? You're really, really, really going to enjoy this stuffed filet, I promise you. While that's rendering, you notice that I had said to you earlier that I was going to let the steak rest, the meat was going to rest. There was a purpose for that. The way we're going to stuff this meat is that we're going to make an X in the top of each filet. When I say an X, we're going to go down and we're going to cut it this way, then we're going to cut it this way, and where these points meet on the X, we're actually going to pull it back. We're going to take a knife and slice it a little bit, but what we want to be really careful not to do is to go all the way through the meat. Since this is 2 inches thick, we want to go down about 1 inch. So I have cut an X this way, and what I'm going to do is reach in there and I'm going to pull each little layer back, And I'm just going to take my knife and I'm going to cut it back so that I can pull up each of the 4 points of these steaks. That way we're going to form a small pocket inside to be able to put the stuffing. If you'll notice, I've got it open now and on all 4 sides, and I have a starred pocket. That's what we're going to do to all 4 of these fillets. Now, back to the spinach. We've let the dry sherry cook in there for just a few minutes. Now, here comes the cream of the crop. We're going to put in the 4 ounces of the Philadelphia cream cheese to this mixture of the spinach, the thyme. And this just makes an awesome filling. Do you notice how creamy it's beginning to shape up? I can eat this by itself. I don't even have to wait for the filet. Okay, once you've got the cream cheese incorporated, you just want to turn your heat completely off, or actually I can just slide it off of the heat. And then we have the inside filling ready for this fabulous filet. And what I'm going to do is, since I have the inside starred open, the meat is open, I'm literally just going to spoon enough in here to fill up the insides of these fillets. Okay, the bacon can be used one of 2 ways. You can take the bacon as I'm doing it here, and I like to just crumble mine and stuff it on the top of each piece. Another way that you can do it is you can take the bacon and you can crumble it up and you can go in and put it in your stuffing to begin with. It's just whatever you prefer. But then once I get the bacon on the top and I get the stuffing in there, to kind of seal it in there so that the stuffing doesn't fall out while the meat's cooking, I just take Parmesan cheese and I sprinkle it all on the top, and it just seems to kind of make a little crust on the top and across the top, and it just kind of seals in the stuffing mix. It just kind of seals it over. It's not exactly like a wafer if you put the Parmesan cheese in the skillet like you were going to make a wafer, but it kind of has the same effect. Okay, once the filet is, now you've seared it on both sides, you've cut it in the middle with your X and you've pulled the pieces back, you've already prepared your stuffing, you've stuffed your fillets. Now you're going to put each fillet into a lightly greased Dutch oven, uncovered, and you're going to put it in your oven at 400 degrees for exactly 20 minutes. And when it comes out, I can't wait to show you what an incredible medium cooked filet you're going to have. You're going to be tasting it from where you're watching. Doesn't this look incredible? I really wish you could smell it at this time. I'm sure you can still hear it sizzling also. Now, at this point, we've just taken it out of the oven. We don't want to cut into it at this moment. Of course, we want to serve it pretty quickly. But what I want to do at this point in time is I just want to let the meat rest and let the juices settle down a little bit. We don't want it to cut it immediately. So I'm going to get a plate and plate it up. And I'd like to take one of these steaks and slice it for you and show you just how perfect this medium steak really is. Just to plate this to make it look more attractive, most of the time, if you're only going to have 2 or 3 for a dinner party anyway, you're going to want to serve the pieces of the fillets, I'm sorry, not pieces. You're going to want to serve the fillets individually, but just to show you that it can be very incredible to plate it all together, I'm just going to put the spinach that we had used for the topping, put it on the plate. And for this one, I think I'm going to show you how it looks on the inside. And then to finish this off, you can also just put the extra topping around the sides of the steak if you choose, and people would have a little bit of extra stuffing. Now we want to see if it's really as perfect as I promised you it would be, and be a totally perfect medium steak. Let's see. Perfect. I hope you enjoy this filet, and I hope you'll try this recipe because it's one of the most incredible steaks you'll ever eat.